We used a number of words and principles of nothing through us, everything outside us, which gave us those triggers then to be able to go and really press aggressively. This is a game we played against Man City in the quarter-final of the Carabao Cup. It was on a Wednesday night in the middle of a 3-game week and a real important week for us. It was sandwiched in between Palace away and a real 6-pointer against Everton away on the Saturday. This was on the Wednesday night. So some would say a fixture that, you could do without in terms of such an important week. We saw it as a real important game. We were in a tough spot in the league. We were in the bottom 3. Obviously, Man City, world-class team, world-class players with arguably the best manager of all time. So we knew we were under no illusions of the difficulty of the fixture, but we also saw it as a real opportunity to make a statement and to maybe give us something really positive to move forward with. We only probably had one goalkeeper really fit, which was Gavin Bazunu, so Gavin had to play, but it was a real opportunity for Gavin to play against his old team. We then went with a back 4 of Lianco, Chaleta Sarr, Mohamed Salisu, and Kyle Walker-Peters. Now, the thinking behind that, there was a lot. In terms of Lianco, we played a centre-half at right-back, and that was because we wanted to be really aggressive, do a little bit of a man-marking job on Jack Grealish. On the previous Saturday, he had done a great job man-marking, and Wilfried Zaha really negated him. And we felt that Zaha and Grealish were in the same category in terms of potency, 1v1. Plus, it enabled us to switch and to build in a 3 with having 3 centre-halves. Chaleta Sarr was probably our best ball-playing centre-half, so we knew we were going to need to keep the ball or to have a range of passing, which he was excellent at doing. And then Mohamed Salisu gave us that left-footed balance there. We played Kyle Walker-Peters because, again, when we went into a 3, we would need a high wing-back and one that had real quality. And Kyle is a wonderful footballer. Technically, he's one of the best players we have, so he can play high, he can develop play from deep, and in tight situations, he's very, very good. We then went with 2 6s in here, and we had a real good balance, we felt, in here. We went with Ibrahima Diallo, who was probably one of our best players against the ball, out of possession, was really aggressive, really athletic, and we knew we would need that in the game. We then played him with Romeo Lavia, who's probably our best footballer, and we knew that we'd need real balance. Romeo is good out of possession, but his real strength is in possession, and to beat Man City, you can't keep giving the ball away, and he's one of the best at finding a pass, at playing under pressure, and he really was wonderful on the night. We then decided to play James Ward-Prowse a little higher, in terms of being able to, play as a 10 and to have quality in the final third, but he could really implement the press from a 10 position. So whenever we pressed with a 9, James would be the catalyst to go the other side and to press. And his energy, his running ability, plus his quality, both on set plays and in possession, meant that we had a real good balance within the midfield. The front 3 then, we played with Adam Armstrong here. We played with Sékou Mara there, and then we played with Moussa Djenepo here. The reasoning behind that was, again, Moussa enabled us when we went to a 3 to play as a high wing-back, so we had Kyle and then Moussa to play as wing-backs, but was also very good against the ball. Adam Armstrong would give us that opportunity to go to a front 2 because predominantly he's a front man, but he's very good against the ball. And then Sékou Mara was someone we could go into, but someone, when he got a chance, was probably the best finisher at the club. They started with Ortega in goals, who was their regular cup keeper. They had Aymeric Laporte here. They played with Kyle Walker there, which again gave them real balance and aggression in terms of things. They then had João Cancelo, who at the time was one of the best right-backs in the Premier League. They then played Sergio Gomez at left-back, and then the usual 4-3-3 with Calvin Phillips here, who's come in for his first start, so we knew that he would be very motivated on the day. Ilkay Gundogan and Phil Foden were the 2 8s, with a formidable front 3 of Jack Grealish, Cole Palmer and Julian Alvarez up top. Interesting things around selection, because we had done a lot of work on combating Haaland in terms of our tactics, and also De Bruyne. When we saw that those two weren't on the team sheet, I'm not saying to give us a lift, but it meant that we could just implement and be a little bit more aggressive in everything that we wanted to do, because how we wanted to press and be really aggressive in terms of going after the game. Without no Haaland, it meant that we could just be that little bit more aggressive, that little bit, we could squeeze the pitch that little bit more, because he was the one that enabled them, one, to go in beyond with real pace and power, but also they could just flip it into him and he could link. And then if we got the press wrong in any way, then they were able to be beyond our press and in, and then you're in real trouble. From every goal kick, we said we wanted to be really compact, really aggressive, and to win it as high as we can. We started the game fantastically well. In the first 2 minutes, we won it 3 times high up, which kind of set the tone for the game. The fans were up. It gave the players real belief, and we really did go after Man City. So from any goal kick, we would allow it to go to one side, and then centre forward would press. Then Prowsey, who's one of the most energetic, high-distance runners, and understands any position in midfield, would really then go be aggressive on the 6. Now, we'd keep one way. We wanted to defend the middle of the pitch, so we had real good numbers inside the middle of the pitch, and we wanted them to force it inside, so that then we would have pace, power, and numbers to go and counter-attack. So we'd always let it go one side, we'd then press and not allow them to come back. We'd then allow them to go there, and then that would be the trigger that we could really go and press, win the ball back, and then counter them with real good numbers. And the way Man City play, obviously they're open, they're expansive, and they do take those risks. So we thought, look, that's our best way to really get a foothold in the game. We used a number of words and principles of nothing through us, everything outside us, which gave us those triggers then to be able to go and really press aggressively. If they did get to switch play out, because obviously they have extra man with the goalkeeper who's very adept, then that would mean that would be big distances for the centre forward. So then we would ask Prowsey, in his athleticism, to go to press that side, again, to keep there, to buy us a little bit of time, to shuffle, and then to protect the middle. Sékou Mara then, who's the 9, would leave his role at the other centre-half, would then latch on to Calvin Phillips to be in and around him, so that we could maintain constant pressure. And then what we asked from our wide men was to be inside the pitch, but in an aggressive position, that if anything was under hit, we would break. And again, you can see the numbers that we have to go into counter-attack. But everything was outside us. These were the triggers we wanted to happen, to play there so that we could bounce, win it, and go from there. We always allowed Lavia to be the one that would go and support Prowsey in terms of his press, with Diallo being the sitter, the one that screened, but had that athleticism to go and get there. Now, key to all this in how we pressed and to be able to maintain in that press was the distances we had between units. Now, if we had a back 4 that wasn't content to be high up, then Grealish rolls in, Alvarez comes into pockets, Cole Palmer comes into pockets. They have the quality then to find them, and then you know you're in real trouble. So we really emphasise the fact of squeezing the pitch, of keeping the distances down to an absolute minimum, so that any time they forced the ball into here, we could be really aggressive against them. As the game progresses, it's impossible to maintain that high press all the time. So it's important then that we conserve energy and become a mid-block. So at any point we could press high and be really aggressive. We did. But we also know that Man City have real quality and then can switch it from side to side, can get out of tight situations. The important thing we said was that, one, we don't get penetrated, we don't get played through. So if they play in front of us, that's fine. The thing about becoming a mid-block is, what we emphasised was that it has to be an aggressive one. So yes, we are sitting in slightly. We'll allow them to have space here, and here, and to have possession here. But then once we get pressure on, then everything behind it has to be really super aggressive to go and win the ball, because as I said, we're still in those positions to be able to counterattack. So the same principles as applied from a high press apply to a mid block. It's slightly, you come off the shape slightly 15 yards to allow you to regroup, conserve energy, and then to go and be really aggressive. We wanted to find the right balance in possession. We didn't want to give them the play back to Man City because the more ball they have, the more they can hurt you. But also we didn't want to take huge risks, knowing that they're a very, very good pressing side and have players that when they win it can really hurt you in those high areas. So we wanted to limit the amount of risks. So there's certain things we did. From goal kicks, we built in a 4, and we wanted to play quickly, play through lines, and invite them onto us. But once we invited them onto us, we had a set of principles that when it came back, we'd always hit this side. So we targeted Sergio Gomez, who's probably the least aggressive in the back 4. But also we had a real willing runner here in Djenepo. So we would go big. We would then flood this area for anything knocked down so that we could have an outlet of picking up second balls. At any point that Man City didn't get the press right or that we were fluent, we built with 2 6s. We built with Prowsey, always filling gaps into 10, but these wide ones looking to get off the back. We wanted to pin back their back 4. We knew we always could go into Mara because he was good at holding the ball up, but we would always try and play one side, either play with our 6s to penetrate into these areas or use Gav to go out and to penetrate quickly the other side. In free play, that would change slightly. We'd then go to build, because we had three centre-halves, we'd then build with Lianco, who's the right back, as the third centre-half. We then pushed Kyle Walker-Peters in as a wing-back. Djenepo would become the wing-back this side. Sékou Mara and Adam Armstrong would become our 2. And then we would go to a midfield. We'd become effectively a 3-5-2, which meant we had players in between, so wing-backs in between, wing-backs in between, but then we could build in that 3, which then invited their wide ones off shape, and then we would fill gaps. So if they came with a normal shape and didn't tweak anything in the press, we knew we had natural angles. Now, we knew that we had some real good footballers here, that if we could get them into this area, we knew then we had 2 runners to go off the back, and we knew we could have real penetration. The difficult thing was getting secure possession here, being able to play and bypass the first press, because once we beat the first press, we believed that we could really then exploit them with 1, with having 2 runners, 2, with having the quality we have with Romeo Lavia. And then anytime Prowsey gets it, he has a range of passing which can do that. After a really good, positive, aggressive start where we'd gone after Man City, had a number of turnovers, we had a passage of play, we had a few shots, we had corners. You know, we'd grown into the game and felt that we were in a real good position. I wouldn't say comfortable, because you're never comfortable against Man City, but we're in a position where the game plan was sort of coming to fruition. From really aggressive, proactive starting positions, Sergio Gomez was inside, he won the ball, and he played a square ball or semi-diagonal ball. Lianco doing man-to-man on Grealish was told not to give him the space to turn, to let him play. And when Gomez played that ball, that was the trigger for Lianco to really, really go aggressive. He won the ball, and his natural momentum then took him into this area. Laporte had to come out, which left Kyle Walker one-on-one with Sékou Mara. Mara, as we said, was one of the best finishers at the football club, and the reason why we played him. And as Lianco advanced, he was in Kyle Walker's blind spot, did a double movement, came here, and then Lianco played the ball in there, which, to be honest, wasn't a brilliant ball. It was a great spot, but it just sat up. And Mara had great movement, came inside, right-footed, as it lifted, on the volley, and it was a wonderful finish. So everything, that we looked at, envisaged in terms of happening, in terms of us being aggressive in these areas, any ball square or under hit, we can be aggressive on, to then countering because they were open, because they were set up to play. We then were 2 for 2, and then it was a ball in, great movement, great finish, which enabled us then to take the lead. It was a really well-worked goal, and again, stuff that we had worked on. So it was in build-up where we said that we wanted to build in a 3. So Lianco had come inside. Salisu and Chaleta were in their 3. Lavia was in the pocket, and we had slightly tweaked it because Adam Armstrong would come out this side. That was Kyle Walker-Peters, and Djenepo then became the second striker, if you like. So we won the ball back, we kept it, and then we got it into Romeo Lavia here, who was marked really, really tightly. But because of the quality he had, he was able to turn away and then to feed Djenepo into this pocket. Cancelo tried to read it, but such was the quality of the ball, left-footed, played it the right side, it enabled Djenepo just to get away from him slightly. At this point, we had outnumbered Man City and we had real numbers. So Adam Armstrong was breaking. Mara's made a great run. We've got Prowse in this position and they're outnumbered now here. So we had options to score. But Djenepo turned, he came, and then as you slow it down, you can just see him see Ortega off his line, and he just played a wonderful chip. On the videos, it said Adam Armstrong is screaming because we had that overload. And everything from a real secure base, from a real aggressive press, and then from quality in transition, we were able then to take a 2-goal lead, which again we felt was thoroughly deserved. So at halftime we go in and we're obviously very pleased that game plan has worked. We've been really aggressive out of possession. We've countered at the right times, and we've obviously taken a 2-0 lead. But we had done a lot of prep work on City's change of shape, because we know that if things are not working out for them, they're very fluent in being able to change shape. So we were really primed for that, and we had worked on if they went to a 3-4-3, which we feel that they do at times, whether that's to rescue a game or to take a game away from a team. We felt we would need to have a secondary tactical plan really to combat that and to maintain. So it wasn't just to contain those, but would maintain aggression and to continue to prove to do what we'd done so well. So what we felt that they were going to do, and they did, they made 3 changes. So they ended up bringing on De Bruyne in this position, Akanji and Ake here, and effectively going to a 3-2-4-1, or you call it a 3-4-3 really, in terms of everything that they do. What they do then, they play the wing-backs really high, and they played Grealish here and Cancelo here. They then moved De Bruyne into that position, still kept Alvarez and put Foden there, and then played with 2 6s in terms of Phillips and Gundogan, and then played with a back 3. This enables them to have one more in build-up here, and then it's very difficult to press from a 4-3-3. So they always got these spare men here, and then when you bounce, they have these natural angles. They have people that can come and fill spaces, and they're really difficult to contain. The thing we were most concerned about, because they have quality here and they can get the ball, you then find yourself being 5v4 against. So you have a back 4, they've got a centre forward, they've got the 2 effective 10s, plus 2 wing backs who effectively are wingers. And once they get into there, then you know you're in real trouble, because they have the quality to hurt you. So we gave it 2 or 3 minutes to see if we could handle that, but instantly they had a chance. De Bruyne got turned into this pocket, played Alvarez, who was quicker than Chaleta. Lucky he defended well and forced him wide, and they flashed the ball across. And that was my trigger really to go, look, we had planned for this. We knew what we were going to do if they change shape. If we wait and allow them to get a goal, the momentum will shift. So we had worked on a secondary shape, and it was a real bowl shape. What it would enable us to do was, again, to go to that 5. So we pushed Adam Armstrong inside with Sékou Mara so that 2 took care of that 3. We then said to Romeo Lavia and James Ward-Prowse, don't let Gundogan and Calvin Phillips dictate the play. We then got a little bit of a screen and a security here, but everyone else was man for man. So instead of now them having a 5v4, effectively we had a 5v5, and this was our screen. So anytime De Bruyne wanted to drop into those areas, Diallo would go with him. If they then switched that out and Foden wanted to drop, it gave our outside centre-half, which again was Lianco, real licence to go and be aggressive. We then would become a back 4, but it allowed us from a position of strength to go man for man with those and to maintain that press, maintain that aggressive out of possession, and then still counter with 2 and have 2 midfield players that, again, were in their best positions in terms of being able to press, being able to get into spaces and then to create. When Haaland came on, that slightly changed stuff. In the first half, they couldn't just flip a ball in because, again, with respect, Alvarez is not the biggest, most aggressive centre-forward. Haaland is, so they can cross from anywhere and Haaland can be a threat. As we expected, Man City had a bit of possession in and around these areas, and we did a lot of work on De Bruyne in these half spaces, getting the ball, and every time he does, he delivers world-class quality into these areas for Haaland, for Gundogan, for any mid for Foden runners, and even for the likes of the wide men who they have in this area. And he did pick up, which is very difficult to pick up because he's a 10. It means that Salisu would have to be really aggressive in there, or Diallo would have had to come in and take that. But because they have quality and able to shift the ball really quickly across the pitch, then fire it in, and for him to get turned, we knew that at points they would get into this area and had the quality to exploit. So the work we did was making sure that whenever they got into this area, whatever Haaland's movement was, someone was touch tight. Someone had to be touch tight. No defending space, no in between, because the moment you switch off, you're dead. So every time they had the ball, I was really pleased because there were 3 occasions where De Bruyne had the ball. There was really good movement from here, and we were touch tight all over. Balls got delivered, and we defended our box superbly well. And that was a big facet to us keeping a clean sheet, all the while still maintaining pressure when we needed to get pressure, still having that threat on the counter-attack. But our 3 centre-halves, our wide men, defended the box fantastically well, coupled with a real proactive goalkeeper on the night who came and took stuff, and anything that was flashed across his starting positions were excellent. It was a real good defensive performance. We were able to go the full game without conceding a shot on target, which I found out after was amazing stat. It was the first time in 4 years that Man City hadn't had a shot on target, which was one of the things that really pleased me most, because we knew that we had to defend really, really well on the night. We knew that if we were flippant in our defending or sloppy in our defending or lacked concentration, Man City are the world-class team that can hurt you and exploit that. So not only did we do that, but then the things that we worked on in possession, the counter-attack, the building in a 3, being penetrative, being proactive, that came to fruition, and that enabled us to get the goals, which effectively won a game. For me, it was the first time I'd come up against, one of arguably the best manager of all time. So for me to pit my tactical wits against him was a wonderful experience anyway. To then play in the manner that we did and to be tactically very, very good, for the players to have given me the performance that they did on a tough night, on a difficult night for everyone, and the real pressure. And then for me, it showed that it was a kind of a justification that I could manage at a real high level against, because it wasn't just a lucky performance where we were backs to the wall and we were, we were lucky to just get out of there with a 2-1 or a 1-0 or whatever. That was a real controlled performance. I really felt that we came of age tactically. We always believed we were good, but then coming up against such a team and a manager and everything, and to put in that level of performance with that level of detail and to get the win that we did, showed that we belonged at the level, and that was a big thing for us on the night.